Hey, how you doing? My name is Jeremy. This is another episode of The It Factor. Today I have my friend that I met through LinkedIn and on Instagram, Candice Carell. Would you like to introduce yourself? How you doing today?
Yes, I'm doing well. First and foremost, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. But yeah, my name is Candess Correll. Professionally, I work as a senior software engineer for Ernst & Young. I'm also a cheerleader, fifth year vet and Pro Bowler for the Washington Redskins cheerleaders. Outside of both of those jobs, I also teach ad hoc dance classes around the DC area. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I code Monday through Friday, and then I dance for the NFL on football Sundays.
Great. That sounds awesome. So what made you go into the STEM field?
Go into what? I'm sorry?
Go into the STEM field? Like major in STEM field?
Yeah, so it was very interesting. I think when I was so I was very unique. My journey to programming was very unique. I didn't have no prior coding experience until I got into my first class in college. But what got me to choose that major was back in like my middle school day. I don't know if you remember, but like MySpace was hot. So that's when everybody was on MySpace. This was obviously before Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that. And I like really enjoyed having a really nice MySpace page. And as you know, the design for MySpace is HTML code. So everyone would be like Googling different HTML codes to make their MySpace page really cool. And so I got really into that. And then I always had a natural aptitude for math. I performed well on the math part of the SAT. So when it was time for me to choose a major, I was like, well, let me try computer science. My dad majored in computer science at the University of Maryland. He's a software engineer now. I really like have fun with the MySpace HTML stuff. Let me just try it out. And my first semester of computer science class, my freshman year, I quickly learned that coding is not like MySpace. But I was like, let me stick with it. I don't got, nothing else to do. I had no other option, or I felt like I had no other option. I was like, let me just stick with it. Like I said, my dad was an engineer as well. So I had that free tutor. So I was like, okay, let me just try it out. Every semester, I was like, let me just keep trying. Let me keep trying. And then eventually 4 years later, I got my degree. So I kind of owe my background of being an engineer to MySpace, which is like a very unique story. And I always tell that when I get interviewed, and I feel like employers really enjoy that because you don't hear that. Usually people be like, oh, like I've been coding since I was 12. Like, you know what I mean? Like the normal culture is for engineers to kind of be in their basement and be coding like when they're very young. Exactly. Like that's not a privilege for us. Yeah. So like I didn't have that. Like I was literally in class with people who've been coding since they were in their preteens. And I'm sitting here like, this is literally like the first line of code that I wrote. So like I already felt a little behind, but that's my story. Shout out to MySpace.
That's all right then. That's a good story. Same as mine. Cause I went to
Yeah.
school. I didn't know nothing about coding, but I knew I wanted to do it. But I didn't
Yeah.
know behind it, and I was just
Yeah.
this is the same as this. So once I figured it out, I was like,
Right.
hey,
Right.
so it doesn't even ain't matter.
Exactly. Once you get like one language, like I feel like you can quickly adapt to all the other ones.
Yeah. So how has it been an NFL cheerleader and a software engineer?
That's very different. I feel like they everyone thinks of NFL cheerleading and software engineering as polar opposites, which they definitely are. But I feel like being an engineer makes me a better cheerleader, and being a cheerleader makes me a better engineer. And I'll explain why. Because now that I'm a captain, especially like I've been in the NFL for 5 seasons now, and now that I'm now a leader, I'm learning how in the stadium, learning how to maneuver a team to cater to everyone's needs, to listen to their feelings and see what their strengths and weaknesses are, and to kind of assign roles accordingly. And I use that same task when I go to work. And engineers are still a team. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. You have back-end engineers, front-end engineers, cloud engineers, to kind of see like what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are. Same thing with cheerleading, like every now and then, like someone has a bad day, and that's totally fine. And you just kind of have to pick up where your teammate lets off. And I apply the same thing for work. And then even with being an engineer, you know what I mean, on the job, you're dealing with clients, you get requirements and, from clients that don't know how to code, but they just like, I want this, that, and the third. You have to be able to tell them that, hey, you know, this is possible, or this is expensive, or, you know, I'm going to need more resources. Use the same thing for cheerleading. You know what I mean? Like cheering for the NFL, like, of course, you know, you want to cheer for a team that goes to the Super Bowl every year and, you know, has this, that, and the third, but like sometimes that doesn't always work out, but you still have to work hard to put together the best product that you can for your client and then for your audience when it comes to NFL cheerleading. So they're kind of, you can find similarities in both, but at face value, yes, it's very different. But I enjoy both of them. Like I said, like you got to find similarities in both occupations.
Okay, that's great. That's great how you balance them out too. So that's a good.
Yeah, that's all like time management. That is probably the hardest thing about all of it. It's just like finding time to fully dedicate to both careers, and not just fully dedicate, but to find you know, areas for growth and to be happy in both careers. But like I said, like I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been fortunate to have a very good support system, and I think that's key. You know, having people that care about both of your careers and your health and your happiness to help you pick up. Like you said, everybody has bad days, to help you pick up when you have those bad days.
Yeah, it's always great to have somebody there. So,
Mm-hmm.
how do you plan to incorporate dance in the STEM field? Is that a plan of yours?
That's a good question. I actually, like, I don't have like concrete plans. I really enjoyed the fact that, you know, I'm really big on preaching that I have two careers, and I really enjoy the fact that, you know, those two careers right now in my life are pretty distinct. I will say that currently, like, I'm a part of this nonprofit called Science Cheerleaders. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's actually a nonprofit composed of NFL and NBA cheerleaders that have STEM careers. And it's a world, like, it's a national nonprofit. It's like, obviously it's, you know, Redskins cheerleaders, it's like Dolphins cheerleaders, 49ers, like NFL and NBA ladies who are doctors, engineers, scientists, chemists. Right. So there's already a niche for us. And what we do is that we go around to different events and volunteer, like conventions, like science conventions, which I've done a lot here in DC, and just kind of like have a presence, just to kind of show both industries that, like, hey, we exist. Like, we are doctors, yes, 9 to 5, or I'm an engineer, 9 to 5. Doctors are not, their hours are not 9 to 5. But, like, you know, we have these careers, and we're also, you know, we have these Superwomen outfits that we put on Sunday afternoons as well. And like, we can thrive in both spaces. So I really enjoyed doing that with that nonprofit. But like in the future, I like to keep them both separate. I currently don't have any plans, but I know that avenue does exist, especially with science cheerleaders.
Yeah, I understand that keeping everything separate, because, you know, you want
like exactly, like, it's not even a bad thing. It's just like, you know, personal preference. Like, I think it'll be a really unique niche to find something to do where you can merge dance and engineering. But, you know, like organizations like Science Cheerleaders have. But I'm just like, you know, I really enjoy dancing when it's time to dance and coding when it's time to code.
Gotcha.
You know.
How was it being accepted into the under 30?
Oh, yes, that was very, very like shocking. I randomly just got an email. So I graduated 2016 from the University of Maryland, and I got nominated for their 30 under 30 early 2019, and I literally just got a random email, and the subject line was like, congrats, like, you're one of our 30 under 30 alumni. And I think this is only the second year that they've done this 30 under 30 listing. So I was just like, you know, it's a complete honor to even be on the radar of such a large university. But you know what I mean? Like, I was extremely honored looking at the bios and the info of all the other 29 incredible people that were nominated as well. I was like, you know, like, I'm just really blessed. I don't know how I got here. I don't know who put the bug in their ear or how I even got on the radar, but whatever the reason is, like, I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed to even be considered. And then the award, like the actual like ceremony where they recognize each, was at a basketball game, but I wasn't in town. I actually was in Alaska at the time, on what we call military appreciation tours for the NFL, where we go and just visit our troops overseas or domestically, like in this case, and just kind of spend some time with them. So because it was completely random, I was like, I'm so sad, like, I'm not even in town for it. But it still felt good that I missed that because I was volunteering to help to cater to our military. But so unfortunately I missed the ceremony, but they mailed to me like a plaque and like a award thing. So I have that like downstairs in my house. So that's really special to be able to be like, oh my gosh, like, that university, thinks of me that way and thought of me. So I'm just like, you know what? Whenever I have kids, they better have free tuition at the University of Maryland. Like, I know. I'm like, I need some sort of prize for this. I need free tuition. But yeah, no, I'm very, very honored, very blessed.
Yeah, I got you. That's all right then. I had never heard of that before. But
yeah, it's new.
It's amazing that you
I
got
know.
being so many years out. I would think somebody like from some years, like 10, 12,
Right.
would be, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
I know. Maybe Forbes is next. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
So why is it important for people of color to be in the tech field?
Oh, that's a very good question. One of my favorite quotes ever is, "You can't be what you can't see." And I think that I really struggled, and I'm sure you can identify with this as well. I really struggled in the beginning of my academia career with computer science, because you go into a big lecture hall and, you know what I mean? Like, no one looks like you. Like, literally, I think I've had a class like maybe like 2 or 3 times where it was just one other Black woman, you know what I mean? And like, even before you even sit down and open your laptop, like that's like, it makes you question yourself, like, do I even belong here? Like, is this, especially like when you get in the thick of the semester and you're failing and you're stressed and you don't see no one that looks like you, you're like, dog, is this really for me? Because if it was, why don't I see anyone else that looks like me? And then I think that those dark and deep moments like that is what kind of fueled me to keep going. Because if I quit right now, if I change my major right now, then, the next young Black woman who has an aptitude for computer science, how is she going to know that this is possible? You know what I mean? And that goes back to the thing that I said earlier. You can't be what you can't see. And so I think that's why it's really important for people of color, especially Black men and Black women, to have more of a presence, not just in the computer science field, but thriving in, leadership positions and, in recruiting positions to help get more people in the industry. Like, systemic racism is so intertwined in everything that we do, especially in the workforce, especially in STEM. And it's so complicated. But I think that a partial solution is having just like a presence, just being there, just looking up and just thinking like, oh, like, yeah, like I can be an engineer because of Candice, because of Jeremy. Like, I know Jeremy succeeds, I know Candice succeeds, so I know it's at least possible. It's going to be hard, yes, everything is, but it's at least possible. You know what I mean? And I feel like even like our age, we don't have too many people, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't name 5 famous Black software engineers. You know what I mean? Like, I would have to do some Googling, and that's very unfortunate. And my hope is that in the future that, you can name 5, 5 Black famous athletes as quick as you can name 5 Black famous engineers. So.
Same move, man. Because I know.
Yeah.
I was coming in, even at CAU, me being at CAU, it's crazy, like you said, that the same thing. I walked into the classroom. It was a couple classrooms where it wasn't like that many Black people in certain classes.
Right.
I was like, this whole HBCU, like.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I'm curious, like, how your experience, studying computer science at the HBCU differs. I think about this all the time. I'm like, I wonder what, how different it would be if I studied comp sci at the HBCU. So I'm very curious to hear, like, how your view was, especially in those introductory classes where, like, coming from like having no experience, it's like, yo, like, is this really for me? You know what I mean?
My first intro class, not to go so far into me, but I'll be honest with you, like, I had a Black professor. That was the only Black professor I had.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. Like, I had a Black professor, young lady. She taught me like programming principles 1 and 2.
Cool.
It was a lot of Black kids in there, the first
few.
Then
Yes.
It was like, it was me and Saudi.
Yes.
What's going on? Like, what I'm supposed to do? Like, my grade probably was lower than I thought it would be. But I was passing everything else, but I was able to talk to her, and she was like, I need you to finish this. Like,
yes.
So from every semester then on, she'll like stay in touch with me, make sure I got better in the classes. But
of course,
like, I felt like it was good for me to do it, like you would say, like, because I need somebody to be able to see that, oh, Jeremy did this, so I can do it too.
Exactly.
And also, like, I wanted a kid to be able to come to me like senior year and be like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I ain't got no black professor. This so.
Exactly.
So hold on, man. Just stay in the class.
Right. Just stay. Yeah.
Figure it out. So that's
Exactly.
kind of how my journey went. But it was crazy to see that you would say the same. Like, I went to HBCU and there wasn't that many people that was in the STEM.
Yeah, I know, and that hurts. I was like, slightly hopeful that at least, like it would be a little different. But I think that doesn't have anything to say with, Clark Atlanta. It doesn't have anything to say with University of Maryland. That's just tech culture, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Like, what, aside from even software engineering, like what STEM fields has a prominent amount of Black influence and Black people thriving? You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, like, it's so much intertwined in STEM culture that, we feel uncomfortable in it, unfortunately. And then we need people like your professor to be like, hey, just stick through it. Just believe me. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even explain it. They just, hey, just like, believe me. Like, it sucks, yes, but just stick through it. And, they're right. And now we have to be the next wave of people to tell the younger generation of students, just stick through it. It's hard. It sucks. Yes, but just stick through it because it won't suck once you get the hang of it.
Mm-hmm. So, how has it been balancing your career and profession in cheerleading STEM? I have asked that. So, what I was meaning to ask in that question is,
yeah,
has it been like, so did you cheer before you did everything in STEM or got your job in STEM?
No, actually, it's so funny. Everything started at the exact same time. So I graduated May 2016 from Maryland and comp sci, and I started my first job out of college was working for a junior engineer for Booz Allen Hamilton. I started that maybe June or July. And so I auditioned for the NFL in April and got hired in April, but the football season starts in August. Camp starts in July. So everything happened and started within the same month. So like my first year of cheering was my first year working as well. I've been doing everything simultaneously from the beginning. So actually, like I decided that this is gonna be my last year of cheering. I'm gonna retire after this season. So I'm very curious to see like how my career will be impacted when I stop cheering and I have a lot more time and focus on my hands. But yeah, like back in 2016, it was a hell of a year. I was very stressed. That was back when obviously like we worked in person and I had to like make a commute to my job in Virginia and then drive after 4:30, drive from Virginia back to Maryland where the football stadium is, and then stay from the stadium to like 6:30 to midnight, and then wake up and do it all over again. Yeah, so that like 2016 was like kind of hectic. My schedule was, I was like, because I live in Maryland, so Virginia is kind of far from me with traffic. It was like I would be at work by 8, leave by 4:30, and then get to Maryland by 6, eat some food, do my makeup, because we have to have full hair and makeup for every practice for the Redskins, and then stay in the stadium till like literally sometimes midnight. So I wouldn't get home sometimes till like 1 a.m. and then wake up and do it all over again 5 times a week. So it was kind of a lot. Yeah, getting that adjustment. But you know what? I get this question a lot, and I honestly I would rather life just start abruptly. Everything start at the same time and like not have it ease in and just like hurry up and get used to it than to like have, start working and then incorporate cheer. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather life just be thrown at me and I'll just have to adjust. So yeah, that's how that happened. Everything started at the same time.
That's amazing though that it started at the same time.
Yeah. So I'm very like, I'm very much so very curious as to how just like the dynamic of working full time will change once I take away cheering next season.
Why do you think it's important to obtain certificates while in the tech field?
Oh, these are good. These are super good. So we both know that like certs are not mandatory. First of all, a degree is not mandatory, but it helps. It definitely helps. You learn a lot in school when it comes to just writing stuff from requirements. You know what I mean? I think like on the job, like I said, like clients don't know code. They're not going to be like, hey, like I want you to use this language. I want you to use this technology. They're just going to be like, this is what I want you to do. And you have to make conscious decisions as to like, okay, well, this language is best, or this tool is best. This tool is the least expensive. This is open source. You know what I mean? And so, wait, how did I get here? What was the question?
So the question was,
Yes.
why do you think certification?
Oh, certifications. Yes, yes, yes. That got me to certifications. Okay, yeah. So, and certification, same thing. Certifications are really cool because they're not mandatory, but they help you stand out, just like an education. You know what I mean? Like when we go into an interview, you get your resume, and they see that you went to Clark Atlanta, they're like, okay, well, he has experience because I know that he had to go through 4 years of that curriculum. So when they see that you also have a certification, they're like, okay, especially cloud is really hot right now. So especially when they see that you have like a cloud certification, okay, well, we already know what project I can assign him on because we need a cloud engineer or we need a database engineer if you get a database certification. So I think that it stands out. You already get assigned to a hole when you go in interviews for a spot. And also, I'll be honest, I have 3 certifications. I haven't found much use to them on the job, except when it's time to ask for some more money. That I think that's the key, honestly. The key for certification, if you want some more money when you get your review, get a certification because it shows that, okay, you're taking initiative to study outside of your work hours and you achieve something that's obviously in demand in the industry. So that another thing that stands out when you ask at the end of the year, like, hey, like I did this, I had a great time on this project, my team thought very well of me, and I went and furthered my education and got the certification. They can't help but to give you whatever you're asking for or whatever your bonus is. So I think honestly that's the best part of certifications, you know what I mean? To solidify your stance when you ask for some more money or some more time off or whatever you enjoy for your employment package. Because not everyone wants, and not everyone needs more money. Some people want more time off or more benefits, but those certifications help you provide an argument for whatever you want.
And give you the advancement.
Yes, exactly. Because I mean, if I say that I got these 3 certifications this year, how could you say no? You know what I mean? Exactly. That's what it's for. That's why I get them.
Right. Same. I do the same thing. So
Yeah.
I had to explain. My boss was like, "You did this?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Because the next person, the next engineer next to you is not thinking about that. He's probably he or she is probably just doing his job and probably doing it great. You know what I mean? But you are also doing your job and doing it great, and you got a certification.
Gotta have some extra on the side.
Exactly, always. Especially us, you know what I mean? As Black people, we have to overcompensate, and that's one not easy, but one foolproof way of doing that.
Yeah, to let them know, like, yeah, I may be the son, so I'm the only Black guy on my team, but like,
right,
you see stuff like that, me going back to school, he's like, "Wow, you going back?" I'm like, "Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, but I'm planning to make my
Yes, exactly.
let you know that I'm doing this, not only for you in this company."
Right, exactly. I think that's the key for certifications.
So,
and education. Yeah.
What's your it factor? Why you do what you do?
I think my it factor is that, and I think that this is another thing that cheer has helped me be a better engineer. I think cheer made my confidence. And I feel like, especially as a Black person and as a Black woman in STEM, you have to be confident because everyone else, society tells you no. You have to be the only person to stand up for yourself and be like, hey, no, this is my work and this is good work. And y'all are going to listen and y'all are going to let me implement it. You know what I mean? So I think that every time I interview for a job or I go in a new team, I'm successful because I'm able to sell myself and my confidence. And I think that that's my it factor. Same thing with when I cheer, you know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot of freaking balls to stand on the 50-yard line of an NFL field in, 4 inches of fabric and sell it for 4 hours. You know what I mean? So I think that, with both of my careers, like I have to be so strong in my sense of self. So the same confidence I have when I step on the NFL field is the same confidence I have when I walk into a boardroom and it's, white men that are 30 years older than me, you know what I mean? And I have to sell my code and tell them that I deserve X amount of money and, even just to convince them that I belong in that room. It's confidence that I have to sell. So I believe that that's my it factor for both of my careers, and it's contributed to my success in both.
Okay, great. So my question I would ask, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, like I'm kind of curious to see, like, what your journey with coding was. I know you said that you had no prior coding experience, but I would love to hear like what got you in, what stage you in. I know you briefly talked about your professor and like kind of what your future plans for computer science is.
Yeah. So basically, I didn't like think about code like that in high school, but I was in the STEM program.
Yeah.
Visited like the Georgia Techs, the Auburns, and different.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned me on to know like, okay, I want to be an engineer. I want to learn about more engineering. I want to like take the high road and try to learn to see something different, not only just for the money, but to see
Right.
something that's going to be hard. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I started doing it. I went once I got to CAU. You know, I had the professor, but I also had other friends that was able to like help me out.
Mm-hmm.
Do projects together. Like we created video games that made like
Nice.
so
Wow.
like a Mario game. And me and one of my friends, he actually went to another university.
Okay.
He actually creates games now for Xbox. So
there it is. Wow. Oh my God, that's incredible. Congrats to him.
Projects together until he left, and then I just knew that I needed to stick to doing everything the way I wanted to see it. So once I got done, I was like, let me see how I can incorporate this and help other people. So
right.
Yes, I work at GM. Do well there. Been there for 2 years.
Okay.
I basically do the podcast and I'm an author, but I plan to like draw all that stuff in with my podcast.
Yeah.
So I can kind of pull people in that look like me, you know. And be able to like learn from them what are they doing and see how to implement that and like help people out, just getting these stories out there. Because I feel like a lot of people do need to see this. Because
exactly, that's very important. It's extremely important.
Like when I was going to school, I didn't see that many Black people like on YouTube or like talking about something or in the tech field or anything like that. So that's kind of how I pulled that in. Also, it kind of giving me that upper hand of I'm in grad school now.
That's all.
Because I want to be a college professor. So
perfect.
With that, I want to be able to teach students and be that Black face to show you like, hey, you can do this too. And I plan to help you out. So that's kind of how my thing came in to me with STEM. I always wanted to be able to help someone else out.
Yeah.
And also you paid a good penny, you know, to do these STEM things.
Exactly.
You can see that at home, you know, work from home or work and stuff like that. And I want kids to be able to see that. Like, it's not that hard, you know, even once you get besides you're the only Black person in the classroom, it's math or science, and you learn something that you like to do, you'll be home. Like everything pays off. Like at the end of the day, it's gonna pay off. Like all those hard.
I agree. And honestly, I feel like university is harder than working full time. Like once you actually get on a job and get hired, I feel like coding gets so much simpler. Like they make you go through so many hoops in college which is good. Like it's great exercise for your brain. But I still think to this day, and I'm now, you know, almost 5 years into my career, I still think college was like the hardest code that I've ever wrote. So yeah, you just got to get through college. You just got to get through it. And after that, you're kind of fine.
So yeah, that's kind of a little spill of myself. And then I just want to just keep doing great things and just keep growing. So I feel like STEM was the way to do that.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And if you know, I would love to be a part if you have, like, if you need like guest speakers or, you know, people, women, especially women, Black women who need to see themselves, I would love to, you know, be a part. Just hit me up. I also see that Sean Taylor jersey in the back. I love that, of course. Yes. So yeah, you know, I'm here. I really love what you're doing, and I'm really, you know, here for it. So if you ever need me for anything, I'm totally down. I absolutely want to help as well.
Well, thank you so much for the day. That's the episode of the It Factor. Thank you.